Hello, welcome to Science Talk. I am your host, Jim Massa. I want to discuss with you in this video segment what's happening to uh, bird numbers for the last almost half a century. Some time ago, I did a video segment discussing how bird numbers are decreasing, and I did another video segment discussing how insects are decreasing, which is also extremely concerning. In the U.S., this is the United States alone, bird numbers dropped by nearly 3 billion, would it be, in 48 years. That's a drop of about 29%. So as the population numbers decline, so do the chances of the species surviving. So ornithologists have basically been studying this. They're now basically saying, 2.9 billion birds, about 3 billion, that they're fewer, and they went to the marshes, the forests, the prairies, the deserts, snows, alpine. They went to every single imaginable ecosystem and did lots of census. So they report in the journal Science that they looked at numbers for 529 species of bird in the continental US and Canada to find that while around 100 native species has shown a small increase, a total of 419 native migratory species had experienced dramatic losses. So it seems to be hitting the migratory species harder. So they may do okay in one region, but they have to go migrate to another region. And if there's some sort of environmental insult over there, oil spill, what have you, or just habitat clearing, that's going to impact their numbers in a negative manner. Shorebirds are experiencing consistent and steep population losses. Sparrows, warblers, blackbirds, finches are also down in numbers. Swallows, swifts, nightjars, other insectivores are in decline. Now, insectivores are organisms that eat insects, basically insects exclusively. Well, if you have a decline in insect population, you don't need to be a rocket scientist or any genius to figure out, well, there's going to be less available food for birds. And even if the birds could find enough to feed themselves, they may not be able to catch enough insects to feed their chicks back at the nest. So now you have increased mortality of the chicks, less fledglings. Not good. Grassland birds are down 53%, more than 720 million fewer. Radar records of spring migration suggest that these have dropped by 14% alone in the last decade. More than 1 billion birds have deserted the American forests. The 529 species studied were spread across 67 bird families, and of these, 37 were less abundant than they had been. Where there had been concerted efforts at bird conservation, numbers were on the increase. Okay, that's especially for waterfowl and some of the raptors. You know about the bald eagle, but the osprey. While the gains are measured in millions, the losses are counted in billions. There's a problem. So we got 3 orders of magnitude difference. Right? 1, 2, 3 orders of mag. Multiple independent lines of evidence show a massive reduction in the abundance of birds, said Ken Rosenberg of Cornell University's Ornithology Laboratory. He was the principal investigator. That American birds are in trouble is not news, nor is the loss of the planet's living organisms confined in the U.S. Researchers have warned that worldwide, 1 million or more species of plant and animal face extinction. I've discussed that before, that we're in the middle of the 6th or 7th mass extinction, this one being brought on wholly by humans. We have overharvesting, loss of habitat, pollution, climate change. All these effects are impacting in a negative manner organisms worldwide. Climate change creates unexpected hazards. As the northern hemisphere springs get ever earlier, migrant birds may arrive too late to take full advantage of the resources of caterpillars, aphids, other organisms that they prey upon. Birds have an important role in ecosystems. They control pests, they disperse seeds, and they can be food for other predators. I just saw a video earlier of an osprey on her nest, and underneath her was a chick. And the osprey flew off, go somewhere, probably go get some fish. As soon as she flew off, a goshawk swooped in, nabbed the chick, flew off with the chick. There's an osprey, which is a piscivore, eats fish, upper echelon predator. Even its chicks can be prey for other organisms. But going back to the timing, this is a critical thing, because with the climate changes, with things warming, spring occurs earlier, autumn occurs later. So if birds are used to taking their cues from the position of the sun to start their migration, thinking that, by the time I arrive at where I'm going, I should be hitting it just right. All the insects, if they're an insectivore, should be springing forth. And I can, build a nest, have the eggs, hatch the eggs, and start feeding the chicks. Well, now, if the flowers, let's say, are blooming earlier, that means the insects are going to come out earlier and do their thing. And so then, by the time the birds arrive, everything is past. No flowers, no insects, and none of the organisms. Let's say some little vole or shrew that feeds on a caterpillar. They may not, they may be able to get some food because they're right there. But by the time the birds come up, it may be too late. Now, if it's a bird that eats rodents, they may be fine. But this whole thing of the timing is a critical aspect, and we're seeing a lot more research into that. Henry David Thoreau, I did a video segment on that, was the first one to start noting changes in timing of nature cycles. So nature is basically a fine-tuned system, and we're really messing with it. So, we're seeing, the habitat destruction, we're seeing sea level rises, the coastal wetlands are being damaged. They used to be called like a filtration system. Well, now you're throwing so much like agricultural runoff there, you're causing eutrophication. And you got all these other damages to the environment, and it's going to impact birds, insects, reptiles, mammals, all organisms. Dr. Peter Maurer, one of the authors of the study, said these data are consistent with what we are seeing elsewhere, with other taxa showing massive declines, including insects and amphibians. We know about amphibians really being in danger worldwide. And I should note that Dr. Maurer is at Georgetown University. He continues, it is imperative to address immediate and ongoing threats, both because the domino effect can lead to the decay of ecosystems that humans depend on for our own health and livelihoods. Aside from the fact that people like birds and they like listening to the bird song. But really, that's a very important point. As we damage the ecosystem, as we're causing numbers of birds, fish, what have you, to decline, we're in the long term harming ourselves. We're in the long term, and maybe even shorter term, threatening our own survival as a species. So there are lessons to be drawn from this, and it's a very sobering lesson at that. Thank you for your time. Hello folks, this is Jim here with Science Talk, asking you to please subscribe to my channel and to inform others of my channel and of the work that I do. Please share to social media platforms that you use. Also, as a reminder, don't forget to click the bell so that you know when I load up more videos. Finally, I ask that you support the work that I do by becoming a patron at patreon.com. Details in the description box below. Thank you for your support.